Good morning. It's 4:52 here in Bonnie, Scotland, and we didn't have such a nice day yesterday. Very overcast. In fact, drizzle rain, but we need the rain. There's scares earlier on in the week of, or warnings, not to be negative, of water shortages. So we've got to have the rain. Great to hear about the people in Thailand, for them getting out of that cave. I don't know how I'd have coped. Well, I suppose you're with people, but to think they're in absolute darkness before the actual divers did reach them. But that's Buddhist people for you. I know Thailand very, very well. I think I've been there 4 times, and mainly to Phuket, but I have been to Nakhon Sawan, which in my opinion is the more real Thailand, because it hasn't been over-westernized. And Nakhon Sawan, the town where I stayed, I think there's very few white people. Certainly nothing like you get in Gclark. So my memories there were pleasant. It's called, I believe, the Town of Temples or Wax. And there was some amazing, it's on a hill as well. I couldn't walk so well. So there was one place we visited that it meant climbing a lot of steps, and I didn't do that, but some amazing stupas. And when I fish out my photographs, they certainly will be, that's just a plastic bottle popping. This place is a mess. Cluttered, and unfortunately I've done the worst thing I could do for myself. I missed a rubbish collection because I'm colourblind. So they've issued this chart, which is nice. I've got it pinned up. But the worst 2 colours for people like me is brown and green. And brown was the day ordinary rubbish is collected, if you follow me. And then you have a recycling day, and then green is for vegetation waste sort of thing. So I'm going to have to go out and rebag the bags I've got because they're starting to smell. But that's not such a bad thing. I mean, but it just means double bagging them, and I have to use some of the other bins for my ordinary rubbish as well. Just a bummer because it reminded me, or didn't. I mean, I used to have a car and I've got a trailer, and I'd often go down to the recycling centre anyway, but not to be. Oh, I entered the lottery and I won another free game in Wednesdays, so it wasn't completely. I just think I've got can't see it from this side, but the glasses are steamed. Yeah. So I'll just give them a. I use these. These are actually reading glasses, but also protect your eyes, apparently, from harmful blue radiation. And they do work for me, certainly in the morning, like now. Not perfect, but yeah, I can see. Well, I don't know what's going on here. I'm losing friends. I still haven't. I've got 2 Facebook pages. This is obviously the second one. And I'm getting messages from friends, but they're not on this page. So I will. It's also got the problem of I've got about 4 or 5 Macs, and I've got some iMacs, 2 iMacs actually upstairs. One of them was involved in a fire, and it's the big 27-inch version. It's got a DVD reader slot in the side, and unfortunately the smoke got in there, but it still works. But I've got this ongoing problem of I had an email address which was then cancelled because Orange packed up. And so I've got a lot of occasional little messages, put in your password for such and such. Nada, I haven't got it because this is way back. This is years. It's the first email address I ever had. And it was when I was running Shamanic Studios. So it was based on that. Those people that know me go back years, I know what I'm talking about, but it's no good anyway. I say the email address now doesn't work. There is no address, but it's the passwords that went with it. Partly through my trips to Thailand, I think, because I obviously took laptops with me there. I was doing video work there of a different ilk. That might be why I've lost you. I did a thing called Cosmic Humour. There's a group, Cosmic Humour 18 plus. And on that, I did just deliberately go over the top. And also, more than the point, it wasn't serious. Like, very much, cosmic humour, as I saw it. But for some people, it wasn't their cup of tea. And I was obviously encouraging the impression that he's just a schizophrenic or whatever, and he's lost the plot. Sometimes it's good to lose the plot. Open up and let things through that you wouldn't normally come through. Plus the fact, like now, there wasn't thousands of people watching it. It was just me venting out, I suppose. I was trying to start a charity, so I did have a motive behind that. I'd channeled this outline for a charity called Black Unicorn, which initially was called the Theatre of Unemployment. And I took it to a lawyer. This is in Leicester. He was impressed and said, yeah, that could be a charity. There's not a lot that we tweaked. I got offices from the Labour Party because of the title Theatre of Unemployment. It was, part of its position was to engage younger people in a form of a job, which it was. It was an alternative promotional agency for all the performing arts. And part of the vision would be that there would be a show, but there could be many shows going on. But the thing about it was, why it's considered alternative, everything involved with it, every show, performance or whatever, would be for charity. And that it itself would only charge expenses. And there would be none of this as there is conventional promotional agencies where people are multi-millionaires and all the rest of it. This would be run as a charity and only dedicated artisans, that's the word, artisans. And of course, there was plenty amongst the young. Many young people start off with very altruistic vision of what they want to do with their respective art form, whether they're a dancer or whatever. And that you start off with, no, you don't want to get in the system and you don't want to be, famous, maybe famous, I think, but whatever. It isn't for the money. But we all know at the end of the day that's what happens if you want success. But this would have been an alternative avenue for people to put their acting and their that's what's called theatre, because theatre actually includes all the performing arts, really. You've got dance, singing, music, whatever. And there was a quote from William Shakespeare: all the world's a stage, and men and women merely players, which was how I used to sometimes live my life. Deliberately be, how can you put it, very colourful and large, because you're making a point. So the world is just a stage, you're there to perform. Because in a sense, we do that, right? If we're on, let our egos run our lives, it's all just an exaggerated act. And we're constantly reflecting about how other people see us, whether it's fashion, clothes, whatever, and basically a very false life. We very rarely just live in a responsive way to whatever's going on around us. And we also don't use our imaginations to be a bit different. I remember when I was in Thailand, my routine would be to get up, and I spent I befriended, this is in Nain Han, because there were quite a few massage parlours, if that's the word, but this is a straight one, if you follow me. There is no sex, and it is run purely as a medicinal healing facility, and the lady that ran it was a very strict Buddhist, although that did go on, but that's another story. But the persons concerned could easily lose their job if it was found out that they were accosting customers and granting them sexual favours, because it wasn't well paid. I think it was 300 baht for an hour's foot massage, which is £6. I always used to give a 200 baht tip, So I'd come and I'd park my car across the road. No, I had a scooter then. Let's get this straight. I'm going to have to sneeze. No, maybe not. A sneeze is coming. Maybe it is. We'll see. Drink the water like a hiccup. And one incident I remember very funny. I'm pretending, because I loved music, so I had headphones on, like a Buddhist robe, and I was acting out as if I was a monk, but loved Western music and was into the music and was sort of bopping along and doing this, although I could hear things around me. And there was one masseur there who treated me like as a mother figure, or she was the mother figure, right? And she looked out after me or looked out for me if she thought I was being silly, right? Which I was. And I just stopped in the middle of the road, right? And was into the music. And these motorbikes were coming along and just missing me. They didn't bid their horns or that. That's how it is in Thailand, It's crazy on the roads. Quite a high death rate, should I say. And many people don't like wearing crash helmets, as an example. And you get young kids, probably even about 8 or 10, driving around scooters, Not a lot of police presence, man. And that's the Buddhist way, really. And so she was shouting, "Get out of the road!" And I pretended, because I've got headphones, I looked up to the sky. What's that? And she said, get out of the road. And these people in the restaurant, which was just to the side of the massage parlour, were curling up, cracking up. Well, there you go. There's your joy, spreading joy. I mean, a clown. There you go. There's even concepts, I think, in the Christian religion. You know, be a fool for Christ, spreading joy, acting the fool. Because I was, and then eventually I carry on walking across the road and get across the road. And I said, of course I can bloody hear you, because I could. Well, I was pretending that I was so involved in the music, which you can get. In fact, I used to wear headphones on my scooter. It's a great way to, for me, center myself actually and relax. So I could still hear the noise of the traffic around me and slightly, and if someone bid their horn, I'd hear that. But it was a way of centering and focusing me in the here and now. That's how I thought, you know, it's happening now. Especially radio. You think about it, it is happening now and someone is doing it now. But it also did work for just recorded music as well. Anyway, I digress. So yes, I could share, I suppose, my funny and pleasant experiences of Thailand. So I did, I think I went there 4, if not 5 times. And it got to a state where one of the masseurs that did seduce me, what I was talking about previously, but we did end up living together and became a couple, you know, and she did get into that because we parted, but we did both want to get married, and she was a partner. I'm not saying the only one, but yeah, I mean, she accepted me as I am. You know, I'm quite fat, obese, right? I'm told I've got a good-looking face, so those that just see my face, right? But be warned, I'm overweight, and do have diabetes. But then it was quite severe. I had ulcers in my legs. So I wasn't a lot of good for party life and all this, and even going out in the sun. And oh yeah, that freaked me out. I used to love swimming. Well, I still do. But because of my leg, it's only one leg, but even so, I went into the sea and I just couldn't swim. There just wasn't the strength there. And I even panicked a bit because there's some small waves coming in. And the people again might have thought I was acting out, but you know, help. I did need someone to just wade in a bit and support me under my arm, you know, just to get me ashore. And so health is a big thing, and sometimes we're challenged with it. And it's very hard to maintain a high level of faith if your body is giving you jip. But it's part of the journey, and you get people that say, well, how can you be a healer if you're ill yourself? It's exactly the opposite. It is true. The concept called the wounded healer, that most people who are healers have had a lot of health issues themselves, and through their own struggles, if you like, with their particular conditions, become a healer themselves, because they realize that a lot of MD medicine is, well, not too good. And drugs and things that we're prescribed, especially synthetic drugs, are not too good. And this isn't me. Hi, Alicia Bradford. Hi. And good morning. And this is not just me or some new agey fad. I mean, there's a whole school of medicine, naturopathic medicine. In America, it's a lot more than you find in this country, because if you practice that school of medicine and you've been taught, because it's just the same as in inverted commas an ordinary doctor. You still have to do your 5 or 6, 7 years training before you qualify, but you don't use drugs, very rarely, unless it's antibiotics or something. But yeah, and this whole philosophy and approach is that the body, given the right circumstances and assistance, heals itself. It's like a perfect machine. But through our abuse, shall we say, dietary and all the rest of the things, our bodies can get out of sync. But if we take that approach, take supplements, herbs and all the rest of it, but the synthetic drugs, no. And I've always had that anti thing, even though I've been through the mill. Like I say, I've got a psychological disorder, 1984, I think, or 6. But anyway, very early in my life, it looked like I wasn't going to have much of a life. According to the medical profession, it was just, I didn't intend to go this way, but I'm just going with the flow. Literally keep taking the tablets, because I was diagnosed and had a psychotic episode. Quite a major one, if there is such a thing, but anyway, And that was the response of the doctors. And when I came down and when I balanced out and grounded again, and then went to see an ordinary, discharged from the hospital, obviously, then went to see an ordinary GP, his attitude was just literally keep taking the tablets. That's it. Because I went to him, literally shrugged my shoulders. Well, where do I go from here? Very brave not to take the drugs at first, because you're scared yourself you're going to have a relapse. And if the doctors are saying, well, as long as you keep taking these drugs, anti-whatever, psychotic medicine, you'll be all right. But I did wean myself off, slowly cut down what I was taking, and eventually got completely off medication. But at that time, many people, even within the psychiatric illness scene, if you follow me, frowned upon it and thought I was being irresponsible. And that the concept of recovery was just not there, That's an American thing. But now, my focus and interests now are obviously healing, planetary healing, because if we just focus on our own illness, again, there's concepts like hypochondriac, you're always ill because there's always something wrong with you. So I'm trying to take, or have taken my focus out to healing the planet and looking at the things that we can probably do to help rectify that situation. And the way I've been drawn is pyramids, and there's an immense load of information now online, especially the Bosnian pyramids, because they've newly been discovered, and one of them is the largest pyramid to date known. They've been carbon dated to be 30,000 years old. Like I say, you'll find the information here quite mind-blowing. I mean, he's talking about the whole history has to be rewritten because it's mainly just been speculation, and that pyramids have a far larger role and part to play than just being a place where dead pharaohs are buried, or rituals like in the Inca tradition, supposedly, life sacrifices and all the rest. Far from it. And it's very, very, I think, encouraging. The work they're doing in Bosnia is totally open to scientific verification and investigation. So it's not just an archaeologist doing his thing and got his own preconceived idea of what this is, because I haven't as yet concluded. And scientists have even had conferences there, but this has only been going since 2005, and there's a lot of people that still don't know about it. The media has shunned it because it's been considered just a fraud. You know, they're not actually pyramids. People are saying they're just natural formations, you know. But if you go and see the evidence that's available, I think if you're open-minded, will accept that yes, they are not natural. They were either man-made or alien-made. They are, and they do have a very important role and function in healing people. That's why I keep pumping out. I'm very keen to get hold of some Bosnian pyramid water. And so I still tack along that tack. You know, every video I do, I include that in the hope that someone will see this. There's not many people see them now, but even so, and that have been to the Bosnian pyramids and have got some excess water, and we're prepared to send it to me, and I'd obviously pay their postage and costs. Now, the reason why is because for some reason, the actual Bosnian pyramid facility that is there, I mean, there is a shop, and that's how you get the water. They won't or can't send it through the post. Probably they haven't got the personnel to do that, you know what I mean? It'd be quite a job, you know, just doing that. And they like to just keep it low key, and that means if you're visiting, yes, you can go to the shop and buy it over the counter sort of thing. But the distribution of it is still an issue. I personally feel it's something they need to really look at, because just being on a practical thing, not everybody can just stop or go to the pyramids, and that there's an urgent need in my mind to get this water out because it can heal the planet, and that means it needs to be taken to any source of water, whether it's rivers, whether it's the sea. It needs to be added to other water. It needs to be put under your own small pyramid, because you don't need a lot. And it needs to be distributed via and through all over the planet. Now, that could just be my own, which it is, speculation. I say my own. I feel there'll be other people that hopefully share this thing or eventually will move into this. But the tests are done on the water, and they worked with Emoto, the Japanese scientist who did a lot of work. I believe he's passed now with water. And clearly you can see the photographic evidence that Bosnian pyramid water, in fact, I did have a photograph on my Facebook page, but whether it's got lost, but there's only so much you need to every now and then tidy up. For instance, if you're promoting one little video and posting it, you need to delete it, otherwise it'll just take up the whole of your page. I've got to get that together. But a beautiful golden colour. The Bosnian pyramid water itself, when it's photographed underground, has got a beautiful deep blue, probably not blue, bluish hue. And if you consider it's been circulating for over 30,000 years, water is a universal solvent, so it dissolved all the crystals and everything there. So it's got a lot of healing potential or quality in it. But obviously there are other factors I did get an email back saying that some people in England tried to do this, but stopped because of the restrictions, because it's classed as food. Whatever. I mean, to me, it just needs someone with captures that vision to put some capital, if you like, or money into it to set up such a facility, and that people would have to work in it. Yeah, but I willingly do that. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not so fit physically, but if it just means packing up water into bottles and posting it around the world by people who want it, yeah, I think that's a great service, obviously. And that's why I'm, keep pestering on about it. Yeah, I feel it urgently needs to be done. One only needs to see what's going on with planetary disasters and all the rest of it. The sooner some conceited, concentrated efforts made in that direction, it will soon be blessed. If people decided to seriously try and do this, it would be successful. It could be a bit of a problem with publicity. Like, you can't claim that this is some magical fluid, but just word of mouth, because the amount of people that have been to the Bosnian pyramids and have had healing from going there is nobody's business. And the amount of people that have obviously taken water back and must have had scientific evidence that this stuff can and does heal must be growing. But I realise the cautiousness that you've got to play in this area. And this is why naturopathic medicine has been stamped on. You know, you can't make claims such as this. But I saw a very interesting thing from Gaia TV, of how someone discovered a cure for cancer, and over 39 years ago. And it was using some kind of machine, but was having results, and it got stamped on. And this ties in with the legalization of marijuana. Now the evidence is just overwhelming that it has immense healing medicinal properties, and that a serious, if I was to have the opportunity to speak to Mr. Trump, or I can now in a sense, I mean, whether these things get picked up or whatever, but even putting it out, intention. I mean, that's my philosophy behind doing these. I'm quite well aware. At the moment, I've just got one person possibly watching this, and at the moment, maybe about 50 people. They are quite long. I try to keep them to an hour, but at one time I could go on like this for 2 or 3 hours at a time, and maybe that is too long for people to sit through. Of course it is. I mean, you could say, well, I could watch a bit, but that's probably what I'm learning. And by doing these, eventually they get edited down, and I can just take little bits out, make notes of what I've spoken about in that one, and then put them together in either shorter versions and with cryptic titles. But yes, Mr. Trump, I seriously feel that there needs to be a commission set up to investigate and look into the medicinal properties of marijuana. And in a scientific, like I say, approach, results are noted. Obviously, it would need to have licenses issued for people to be able to do this, because they will need to be able to administer marijuana to people who are prepared to go on trials with certain conditions, and the results can be monitored and the evidence is accumulated. Now, the way it's going isn't so good. there are certain commercial pharmaceutical companies that are now making artificial synthetic versions of marijuana, if you follow me. No, that's not the way forward. And again, this is your naturopathic medicine approach. Medicinal plants have many different compounds, and just to isolate a certain chemical compound, i.e. THC, whatever, CBD and all the rest of it, and then to manufacture that is part of the problem in the first place. Synthetic drugs are a no-no. Nature, or God, if you want to use another word, has created everything that we need for a medicinal purpose, and the herbs are being discovered from different cultures and different countries all the time. In fact, there you go. Doesn't just have to be marijuana. Investigation into all medicinal plants that have a reputation of being able to cure and treat certain conditions. But marijuana, as far as I know to date, is certainly the most dramatic and extensive evidence of the sort of conditions it can treat and release people from. So marijuana being illegal, we're denying access to this sacred healing herb, this sacrament. If it's treated as a sacrament, it responds as a sacrament. Now, this is an interesting concept that can be looked into, still scientific, that people regularly, millions of people all over the world, take the bread and the wine. It's blessed. And in their minds, some of them, although we don't see a great evidence of people having healings, because that's probably why the level of faith in people now has gone right, through the floor. And that's why we don't see that. And yet it's been prophesied clearly that, it will come a time of signs and wonders. The scriptures itself say, the Christian scriptures, greater things than me will you do in my name. But very few of us have moved into that. And yet it's there. And it's a potential for any of us to follow. I mean, I was trained in a church where obviously the emphasis was on trying to bring forth the gifts of the Spirit. And that you could have ministries for ministries, which is like the equivalent of going to theology school, but better. By your fruits you shall know them. So if you did demonstrate the ability to move into various spiritual gifts, it was recognized by the brethren, and you could undergo a ceremony called ministries for ministries, and that was what could come forth. You'd be given like a list of the various things that you've been known to move in, with healing, prophecy, bringing words of wisdom, etc., etc., etc. And then that would be like your credentials, which you could take. Other churches can check it out. It's all recorded. And that's the way forward. Personally, I mean, out of all the churches I've attended, that was, the most dynamic, because they lived it. It was a community. Again, that got a lot of flack, because most people's idea of Christianity is just a club you go to at the weekend, but you live an ordinary life, etc. Not you practice the common purse, not that you live in community, so you don't have your own little world or freedom, Everything you need physically has to be verified and approved by the elders. So it's a disciplined way of life, but it's the way that the early Christians used to live. In the book of Acts, it's all there. The common purse, sharing of wealth, living in community, but very strict. Oh yeah, you could have single brothers, single sisters, a couple of married couples, to give it balance or whatever, and there'd be a head elder of the house church. But everything was shared in common, and that there were probably hundreds of house churches which were part of this church. Now, how I got down that tack, I don't know, but that's the way. So, quickly back to marijuana and the legalization. It needs someone who is open to instigate this. And if Mr. Trump was to take up that initiative, his credibility would go through the roof, because the amount of younger generation people that have proved for themselves, although risking their freedom in doing it, the amount of injustice that has gone on and is going on because people are taking a herb which they find a better alternative to alcohol, even if it's for recreational purposes, although that isn't my focus at all. I do realise that any substance can be abused, but if it's treated as a sacrament, it responds as a sacrament, and by your faith be it so. And this particular scripture is applied to everything. It's not just someone came to Jesus for some healing and touched his robe, which is reported to have happened, and he couldn't go to where that person wanted to go, or he wanted him to go, but he said, by your faith be it so. But this can be applied to marijuana as a sacrament. If you believe and treat marijuana as a sacrament, if you purify it, because it is, in most cases, a black market product, so it is tainted, if the money generated from its sale, because it's part of a black market, goes to buy arms or whatever, then karma's being accrued, and it affects the marijuana itself. So you must purify the marijuana. But we have the means to do this, and that is a pyramid. You can put anything under a pyramid, as the Russians have proven, and it will either be neutralized if it's got a potential harmful capacity, purified if it's a synthetic drug. I have to take some synthetic drugs, but they're put under my pyramid. And so in doing so, they're neutralized. And that, so I'm treating my body as a temple, which it is, because of the pressures of the society I live in, because, going around in a circle, they don't accept naturopathic medicine, or as the Hindus say, Ayurveda, School of Medicine, all these so-called offshoots, but are just as effective and more effective than MD medicine. But because of cultural differences, you can't get access to these medicines unless you've got the money. So if you're a normal citizen, or someone that's ill and because of their illness is on a limited income, as I am, well, I get disability living allowance, which is going to be changed, but no, I haven't got stacks of money, but I buy my own supplements, and they're treated as medicine. They're put under the pyramid, and that's an ongoing situation. And dietary is an ongoing situation. as well. Because of my diabetes, I have to measure my sugar, and I am genuinely, I've got a bad throat. I get this most voices. Yes, I've got to watch. Oh, that's bad, isn't it? I've got to watch my sugar consumption, whatever. As we would say, we've all got our little crosses to bear, and that I do need to. That's what I was about to say, but didn't. I do desperately need to lose weight. I've had some success, and it's like lots of things in life. I know what to do. If I could do it, I'd go on a raw food diet. And there's various facilities in America run by doctors that know that this is a successful way to be free of diabetes. Eat raw food, you're taken off your medication, it's monitored, and in a month, I believe, they've had incredible results. But of course, that isn't fully accepted by the mainstream medicinal authorities, and that, again, seeking you shall find. There are these good little things going on, but in small pockets. Same analogy to the Bosnian pyramids. There is this great work going on, but it's still not generally known because the media isn't behind it, because certain people are against it because it blows them out the water. They've got their own little set of beliefs, and suddenly there's a new discovery that proves that their beliefs are not really substantiated. It, belittles them and makes them look, the gullible people perhaps they were. They just want to believe that there were just places where pharaohs were stuck in and whatever. Anyway, it's nearly an hour. It's not. It's 47 minutes, but I feel to give this one a miss. I will just put again, if you see this and you know anyone that's been to the Bosnian pyramids and may have some Bosnian pyramid water, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could get in touch with me, or they could get in touch with me. You could forward this, although this is a bit long, but I have got a little 2-minute Bosnian pyramid water appeal, which could be forwarded. That's the idea of it. It's just short and sharp, and that's all it's saying. I feel fairly confident I should be able to contact someone that has been there and that can help me. My intentions are, well, I'm already really set up to add it to a larger content of water under a pyramid, and it will be transmuted itself, and I will have a continuing source, if you like, of Bosnian pyramid water, which I can put into small bottles and distribute to various sources of water, whether it's rivers, the sea, whatever. Bless it, and hopefully start, my throat is happening, a movement of people also who are concerned about the planet, and do it in a scientific fashion, as best as you can, monitor the results, distribute it for personal, individual healing, again, set up a healing ministry, because I am recognized and have a gift of healing, but I'd incorporate the pyramid water into that. Use a pendulum for diagnostic purposes, and sometimes don't treat people if they're not really ready for that approach. You can actually ask. That saves a lot of time and effort. Someone comes to you but they're not open, and that ties in with the scripture that, by your faith be it so. that the mention of Jesus, quote, he could do no good works there because of their unbelief. So that's food for thought for would-be healers, that you can actually discriminate. Easily done, no big deal. You just say, no, the techniques of healing I practice, or the modalities of healing I practice, which is the New Age term, you're not going to respond to. Because you can demonstrate and show the pain, I'm being indicated not to go forward. You could suggest them. It's probably because of your lack of faith. Something you could look into and do something about. And maybe another time, you could come back and could give you some healing. So by that, it's mainly my throat. It is playing up. So I've been 50 minutes, so I say goodbye for now. And nice to have met you.